Welcome to the Channeling JT podcast, Wisdom from the Other Side of Life. Thank you so much for being with us today. We have a very special guest, someone that both JT and I want to introduce you to. She has an amazing story. Her name is Donya Olivier. She was born in the city of Chicago with family roots in Illinois farm country, which made her both a city gal and a country gal at heart, which shaped her likes and dislikes rooted in family influence. She attended Chicago State College seeking a teaching degree. Those traditional college requirements exposed her to philosophy, literature, and cultures that were world expanding. Further exposure to uncommon peoples happened when she moved with her husband 1,000 miles away from family to Colorado, where she taught both public and private school. After divorce, she explored other religious beliefs and was exposed to spirituality and metaphysical concepts. One door after another opened until she was led to study with Serena Baptista in 2019, learning that voice that she was hearing inside of her head for many years was not her own thoughts, but was guidance from divine spirit helpers. She studied at the Colorado Psychic Center, learning Reiki healing, the reading of the Akashic Records, and psychic mediumship. To offer her knowledge to others for guidance and healing, she began her own psychic business, Aligning with Spirit, in order to guide others along their awakening journey. Thank you so much for being with us, Donya.
I am so glad to be here today and to be sharing and speaking with you and the larger audience. Thank you so much.
We are excited to hear your story. And I have some questions for you because I know that our listeners want to hear. First off, how did you learn you were psychic?
Like I had said in the bio, is that for as long as I can remember, I had been hearing this tiny little voice at various times when I was pondering or thinking about things. And at some point, I stopped wondering and thinking that it was just in my head and getting my own replies and wondering, what is that voice? Could it be that it isn't just me? So it was through the studying that I did and developing my psychic connection that I really learned that my voice is from my own divine guidance. And sometimes I also just know that something is right. And knowing can be a challenge because you like hearing that voice. You can doubt yourself and not trust it. And so that doubt arises. And through a lot of practice sessions that I got from studying with you, I began to really affirm my abilities and that they were coming from my connection to divine helpers. And in working with others, I do know that I do receive pretty well.
That is wonderful. And isn't that true that so many people have that? They have that voice in their heads and they really think that they might be going crazy or it might just be their own thoughts and they don't really connect it to the divine helpers that we have.
Right. And some people just get a gut reaction. It's like, oh, that doesn't sound right, or something is making me feel uncomfortable. And it's so easy to just blow that off.
Absolutely, definitely. Yes. I'm so glad that you did not do that. Now, I'm assuming you did get training for these beautiful abilities. What kind of training did you get?
Well, I'll tell you, looking back at my life, I feel that I have been kind of nudged here and there to have certain experiences, and I feel like I've landed right where I'm supposed to be because of all of that. And I early on just had such a natural interest in everything natural. I loved the outdoors. I loved the animals. I loved earth history, cultural beliefs, and lots of religious studying different and learning about different religions helped me. My biology interest took me to some of my first formal, non-traditional training. I studied and practiced Touch for Health, and that's a system that's based on applied kinesiology. So through that is where I really began putting the connection between the physical body and the emotional body and work similarly. I got putting that together. And for quite a few years, I did healing work where, for others, I would analyze the strength and weaknesses in their organ energy systems on both a physical and emotional level. And then, this is just a few years ago, I went to a luncheon at the Society for Scientific Exploration, and Roberta Grimes was there, and she presented her work on death experiences. And at the end, she stated that she was going to speak and give a presentation in Loveland the very next day. And she was so interesting, and I was drawn to hearing more from her. And I thought, I'm not doing anything, I'm going to go. So, serendipity, there were several speakers there at that presentation.
Yes,
And
there
Serena,
were.
you were one, you were the last one to
Yes.
speak. And so I was really interested in listening to your experience with JT's passing and how you still have been working with him. So I went home and I looked up your website, and there I discovered that you also were a Reiki master teacher and you were offering Reiki 1 classes. For years, I had been wanting to explore Reiki and find out what it was about, but I was going through my own kind of doubts about my own healing abilities on such a direct level like that. But it seemed to be the right person and the right time. And so that was really the beginning of my journey of really exploring myself and my own healing abilities. So I took all the classes for Reiki training. So I'm now certified as a Reiki master teacher myself. And I use Reiki every day on myself. And from there, in doing that with you at the Psychic Center of Northern Colorado, I just became a sponge and soaked up as much as I could from what you would offer. And so I did the Reiki, and then I moved on to exploring Akashic Records, both reading for myself and then being certified to do that reading for others. Then I was drawn to doing the psychic mediumship training. And so I'm about to also finish my completion for doing Reiki for animals this month with you.
Yes.
So exciting.
Yes, and what a journey you have taken. What a journey from the beginning of this all the way through, the years ago where you began this and then where you are now. It's just an amazing journey and just broadening of who you are as a soul, as a healer, and just in what everything that you're doing. So bravo to you for listening to that amazing voice, right?
Right, right. Yeah,
So
some
what
things are put in front of you without the voice, they're just given as choices.
Yes, absolutely. And so that leads me to the next question I have for you, which is what was your motivation? I mean, we talked a little bit about that already, but what would you say was the primary motivation for you to really step into this and really enhance your skills?
Um, I would say the first thing that really came across to me was actually some years ago. I was in a group, and in this group, there was a leader, and the leader sort of directed us, not sort of, did direct us. And at one point, I had made a statement that I was looking forward to a time that I could do my own understanding of what I needed to do to heal myself and be healthy. Well, I was told that I never would reach that a point of evolution or consciousness, that it was not possible. And that night I went, I don't believe that's true. That just can't be. There's got to be a way that we can sense what our body is needing. And I ended up leaving that group shortly thereafter.
No
And
kidding.
so that was the original impetus that then really sent me into the metaphysical realm of what do others do? How do they do it? Why do they do it? So I read books, I consulted, I had my own favorite psychics that I'd go to for readings, and I do meditation retreats. And so all of that to say that now I know that yes, that we each can know a lot about our own selves. And I am really about motivating others to learn how to trust their intuition, how to develop that intuition, and to help others seek in their own healing for as much as they want to do.
That is wonderful. Yeah, and you're right in purpose. I mean, that is that goes without saying, really. You're definitely in purpose. What would you say is the most rewarding part of your job, of what you do?
Hmm. I I really like all of the things that I have come to be able to sense and to offer. But there's one that just really kicks me in the juicy, like getting going and feeling happy about it. And I really enjoy the Akashic records. I like doing them for myself, and I get a lot of energy for doing the readings for other people. It's a heartfelt satisfaction to know that other people can get either an understanding of why things are the way they are for themselves, and for those then that want to go on and do actual healing and releasing and rewriting imprints from their current life or their past lives. It's that offering that kind of help is just so rewarding.
Yes, absolutely. I totally agree with that. Definitely. And what you do is, I would say, unique, of course. What we're able to do is unique, but then at the same time, we know that others can also tune into their intuition and connect to their guides. If you had to tell someone just one thing they needed to know about developing intuition and connecting, what would that be?
Hmm. I guess that question puts me back in mind of being a beginner and starting on a path of seeing that there's more. I think it's really, really important to begin to start self-honoring yourself. It's simple to say, and yet I know at the beginning it's hard to do. But it make daily a time to be quiet, to just sit, close off from distractions, and become comfortable with that, and move into developing a meditation habit. I just feel that meditation is a huge part of learning to listen to your inner self, to become aware of your own body sensations, the thoughts that you have, even the kinds of thoughts you have, because they can be uplifting or they can be your downers. Learning about your feelings. And meditation helps you to learn a calm and reflection. And many people think it's about that you shouldn't have thoughts, but that's not possible. We're humans, our minds work. But it's allowing a place of quiet and calm so that you can really sense what that little voice or that gut reaction is, or the um, the senses that you do get from your guides.
That's very good advice. Definitely. Meditation is the key to connecting, right?
I think so.
Definitely. What other advice might you have for someone on how to guide one's life? Right now, people are a little bit out of sorts. They're not too sure about where they're heading just because of everything that's going on the planet. What advice do you have to help guide someone to get back on path or just to be in their own skin or anything like that?
I guess I have a couple of things. And one I'll share personally. When I started realizing that voice that I hear is really guidance, I started just playing the game of those voices. Sometimes we don't acknowledge that they're there. We don't hear them loud enough. But when I did hear them, I would just go and follow it. If I heard a yes, I would go do it. If I heard a no, I wouldn't do it. And sometimes it's really simple. It would be like, get the book now. All right, I went and got the book now. Or if I'd ask for instructions, I would say, should I? And listen for a yes, or is this a no? And so that was really about developing a deeper relationship with my guides. And I feel like that once I could do that and I knew I was doing it, that I was developing a relationship, that it wasn't haphazard. So I felt that was really important. The other thing I feel is that we all go through the challenges in our life and we think, oh, I really want to change this. And I want to change it now. I don't like it. But there's really divine timing for that change. And it's an individual process where no one size fits all. And I think it's important to really look at what are your own things that you like to do, not you're told to do things. What really turns your crank? Because that gives you a glimpse into, above everything else, the job that you aren't really crazy about or relationships with people. It gives you a chance to look at what are the things that are positive and uplift you. So looking at that and the things that you feel drawn to, I think are really important to pay attention to.
Good advice. Very good advice, definitely. So I know that you are constantly doing new things, improving yourself and looking at what offerings you can give to others. Do you have any new projects in the works right now?
I do. And one is an outgrowth of my love for crystals and rocks and nature. And that is, I'm using my crystals for developing Reiki crystal grid healing.
Ooh, that sounds awesome.
I'm taking the crystals and using them with sacred geometry. So there's different shapes that sacred geometry, the triangle, and I really don't know all the names of those, but they're very geometric. And I'm using those grids and working with an individual's guides to receive information about what kind of healing that person could use. And I draw and choose the crystals according to what I'm guided to do and placing them on the grids. Then I use the Reiki distance and send that through with holy fire into that grid and get it to that person through photography and take a picture. And I send that and give that to the person. And then they can use that sacred frequency from the grid and the crystals and use that in ways in which their guides tell them that they should use it. So that I find is just, a really exciting new thing to be offering to people.
That is amazing. And crystals are so powerful that you have put those together with your healing and using, again, the sacred geometry and all of that. That's an amazing offering. So, if someone wanted to have one of these amazing healings with your crystal grid and have that sent to them, what do they need to do? Do you have a website they can go to, or do they call you? How do you want those people to contact you?
On my website is the great place because my email address there is there. And my website address is www.aligningwithspirit.live. And on there is all lists all of the things that I do and my contact. And so, yes, that would be a great place to start.
Beautiful. Now, is that Live at the
Yes,
end there? Okay,
yes,
great. Awesome. Just want to make sure that we get the people to the right place, right?
yeah.
What else do you want our listeners to know about you or what you do? Anything that we've missed so far that is important that your guides are telling you to tell our listeners?
Okay. Um, when I think about my work with the Akashic Records, one of the questions that is asked a fair amount is, what is my life purpose? And I know that this question, if you recall, gave me a bit of angst when we were in our classes together.
Yes.
And I've come to an understanding with that is that as human beings and a part of this human community, we have an overall purpose to foster love and compassion for ourselves and for others, and awaken to being a divine spirit, realizing we're having a human experience. And that's overall. And yet, I've come to understand through my work that we each have individual goals or individual challenges that we are here to work on, to learn from, and hopefully come to some resolution or to solve. And that all comes from the deeper work on yourself and for getting help for that, which you and I both do. And there's so many people now being given the gift to connect with Source. So it's doing some individual work and seeking that deeper understanding of yourself, um, and that going for the wants that you have and making the changes in your inner and outer life so that you can have satisfaction. And there isn't any escaping challenges. They're in our lives for a reason, but it's about learning how to respond to them, how to evaluate and listen, and to kind of get above it and see it from a bigger perspective. So that is I guess, the big picture of what I'd like to leave with listeners is that our challenges are for a reason, and we can understand them and go from there.
Great words of advice for sure. Because again, right now, people are questioning so much of what's going on in their world. So having that is going to be really helpful to them. So thank you. I really want to thank you, Donya, for being our guest today. JT and I are just so happy that you were able to come on the show and on the podcast. And we're so grateful of the work that you're doing. Keep up the good work, is what JT says.
So thank you. I'm really very appreciative of being here with you and having this opportunity to chat. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you. And please tune in for our next podcast. If you would like to know when those podcasts are published, hop onto our email list by going to channelingjt.com and signing up there. And just to review, Donya's website is www.aligningwithspirit.live. Thank you so much, Donya. We so appreciate you. Take care.